with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. We coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ.
All right, welcome to another episode of Cooling with CJ. I have a special guest with me today. She is a renowned speaker, a life coach, a worship artist, and an author. Please welcome Myesha Chaney. Appreciate you.
Hi.
Appreciate you joining me, Miss Chaney.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here.
All right. So just a brief background on Maisha's background. So she grew up in the church and she met a pastor at the age of 19. Obviously, they fell in love. They had three kids together. But after 18 years of marriage, they decided to divorce in 2022. Myesha posted a video on YouTube, 18 years of marriage ended. Here's what I learned. And it has over 777,000 views, which is nearly 800,000, which is impressive. So just talk about that a little bit. So what was your reaction when that video went viral? Because I don't know if you were expecting it to go that viral, but what was your reaction when the video first went viral with that many views?
I was shocked. I
Yeah.
had no expectation of what was going to happen. I just started with what I knew. I had always been comfortable being on social media and like sharing parts of my life. And I just got to a point where I thought, I have to help somebody else. I need to help myself. I need to be heard and seen. And it was just time for me to record. So I was shocked. I had no expectation. And I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's funny. So, based off that, she is coming out with a memoir called Honest, a memoir of what I built, what I lost, and who I became, which releases May 19th. So, I'm also an author. So, just talk about what went into the title, because a lot of people don't think about that. That's one of the hardest things for me is coming up with a title for your book. So, what was the process of coming up with that title?
I actually had another title for the book. It was called Now Rise. And I was thinking, this is how you get up, this is how you rise. And that
Mm,
was it for a long time. And I
okay.
got to a point, I did the first edit and I thought, this is not gonna work. I was like, I'm not being honest.
Mm,
I'm not telling the full truth. I have a lot of good points and maybe some good stories, but I was lacking the honesty. And
mm.
I just decided to change the whole book to honest.
Love it. I love it. I feel like people like in today's generation, we don't want people to know like the bad stuff. We just post the good stuff, stuff people will click or like and like, oh, my life is so perfect. But I like the fact that you called it honest because like, hey, this is what happened. This is what it is. These are the facts about, what happened. So in your memoir, you have a question based around the memoir, Who am I without the rose that wants to find me? So how did your answer to that question evolve through your healing journey?
Well, I didn't know who I was. I had an idea. I had who I had to be for everybody else. And throughout my healing journey, I stumbled upon parts of myself that I had always been, but left because I needed to be something else. So
Mm.
part of it was discovering these new parts of me that I had never met before. The other part was getting rid of everything that wasn't me in the first place. And I think it was beautiful, it was meaningful, and it allowed me to go back to the Maisha that I was when I was a kid. Like I got in touch with that version of me and allowed her to kind of grow up in this healing journey to
Yeah.
get me to where I am today.
So obviously 18 years, of marriage is a long time. So what was the most unexpected emotional challenge you faced in the immediate aftermath of your divorce? Because like I said, 18 years, you have kids together, so it's a lot of emotions attached to that. So what was the emotional challenge you faced right after the divorce?
For me, the thing that I faced the most was the loss of the emotional infrastructure that governed my life. I didn't realize so many things were interconnected. I didn't understand that the end of a marriage would mean an end of a life. I thought, okay, our marriage didn't work, but I could still have everything else that I had, just not be married. And that wasn't the case. I had never prepared for that. I thought it would have gone a different way, and I was surprised that the interconnections had to be lost as well in the process.
So you speak about the uneasy freedom in your memoir that comes with starting over. So can you unpack with that tension between freedom and fear look like in your daily life?
I talk about the uneasy freedom in my book because for so long we become what everybody else wants us to be. And there is a moment where we overcome the things we need to, right? We do our work. For me, I did the therapy, I did the healing, I did everything that I could possibly do. And then I found myself with such space and such openness. And it was like you now have the freedom to be who you want to be, to do what you want to do. And it was like, well, I don't know what to do with this. I've been everything everybody else wanted me to be. It was uneasy for me to sit with the space to finally live a life that felt true to me. And it is so important for us to know that when we go through a healing journey, there is space. That doesn't mean it's anything negative or that I'm bored or I don't have meaning or value. It's just, it's unfamiliar for me to be in a space where I get to choose now when I haven't felt like I gotten to choose my entire life.
That's good. Yeah, I feel like people, when it comes to healing in general, people see it as weak. Like, oh, I don't want people to see me as weak, but that's good. I feel like healing shouldn't be negative, like you said. Like healing is a positive thing. You're trying to do something better for yourself and maybe for others as well. So yeah, I think that's great. So many people experience like identity loss after like major life transitions like divorce. So what practical steps did you take to begin rebuilding your sense of self?
The practical steps I took to rebuilding myself had to do with some inner child work, going back to the versions of me. When was I the most happiest? What broke my heart in my life? Like, and showing a lot of love and grace to myself as myself along the journey of my life. Like, most of the times when we go through things and we feel brokenhearted or disappointed, some of it has to do with what's going on in real time. A lot of it was started years and years ago. So that's kind of what I did to rebuild myself, was revisit the parts of me that I had left. I gave myself plenty of time and space to explore what this new life looks like, what it could look like. What do I want? I didn't even know what was my favorite color. What do I want to do for a hobby? Like, you would think, okay, you're 40 years old, you should have all that figured out. But I didn't. So a part of rebuilding myself was trust, having self trust. Can I make good decisions? Can I follow the leading that I feel my life should go? Can I make mistakes and be okay with that? Who am I when I don't have the attachments, the children, the husband, the business, the life? Like, what am I? What's the quality of my life when everything that I have built is gone? And it was amazing. It was painful, but it was also beautiful to rebuild my sense of self by taking all of me, getting rid of the things that were never mine to carry, and then embracing what I feel like is the life that I've always been meant to live.
And I like how you mentioned that it's painful because people think, oh, everything is smooth sailing once I want this divorce, once that's, I'm good. I got the divorce. I got away from what I wanted to get away from. But like you said, it's painful. It's not easy to go through certain situations. So I like that you admitted that. Like it was painful for me. Like, so that kind of transitions to what I want to talk about next. So your story includes, deep faith, what you describe as faith transformation. So how did your relationship with God shift during the season? Because I feel like when it comes to God, you question him a lot. Like I do it too. So you say, hey, is this the right person for me? Like, was I supposed to leave maybe 5 years ago? Am I, stagnant? Am I settling? So like, what was your relationship with God, during that season of after the divorce?
It was difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
because I had built a whole life on what I thought was
Hmm.
God and who God was and what He wanted for my life. And when
Yeah.
all that fell away, I just couldn't talk to God for a little bit. I couldn't listen to worship music. It was just
Mm.
way too painful. Uh,
Yeah.
I I just I just say I left God at the side of the road. Like, I just had to let me take a minute. Like, let me take a beat. And then that led to honest conversations, a lot of anger. I didn't understand how I could have gone through what I went through. I couldn't make sense of how all of this was going to work for my good. And
Mm.
it took time. It took months and months. I wasn't praying. I wasn't doing anything. I was surviving and waking up. And
Yeah.
over time, I got into a headspace where I started to understand more and more each day about who God is, how I was raised. My faith went through deconstruction. I
Yeah.
stopped believing just because I was told this is the way I was supposed to believe. I started asking more difficult questions, and I saw that no matter what I did in that process, the God that I know is still the God that I know. I
Amen.
just had to go through what I needed to go through to discover that. So
Yeah.
now I feel like my faith has been transformed because I
Yeah.
went from this public facing Christian leader, this figure, to being Myesha in
Yeah.
process, and then coming out as Myesha, who just so happens to have a rich history of faith. But now I've had to live through some things that broke me and that rebuilt me.
Yeah.
And God was there all along.
Yeah, that is so good. Like I love the transparency. Like that was a strong point when you said you left God at the side of the road. Because I feel like people they go through stuff and they say, "Oh, I'll pray about it. I'll leave it to in God's hands." But sometimes we struggle doing that. It's like, "Hey, I'm hurting right now, and I don't really want to talk to God right now. That I just want to deal with my emotions on my own." But it's hard to look to others, especially God, when you're going through something like that. So I love the transparency. Like you said, you left God at the road for a while and you had to come back to him because he's always going to be there waiting. He's just waiting on you to come back. So I love that you said that. So you're connected with a large community after your viral video we talked about earlier. So what have you learned from the stories others have shared with you about divorce and healing?
I learned a lot from the people that I've met on the journey. The people on the internet became friends to me. I had a sense of community, people that were going through similar things. I
Mhm.
realized that it's very courageous to do this, walk this path, to get a divorce, to get out of an unhealthy relationship, to move forward, to start over. And the stories that I've heard were painful for me because some of them were saying, "I'll never leave. I'm living through you. You've been inspiration to me. Like you're giving me courage. I don't know if I could ever do it." And so the pain wasn't seeing how many people got through, it was how many people chose to stay.
Mhm.
That broke my heart. And it made me actually more bold because I thought, well, I'm going to be a voice to those who are voiceless, and we might as well have a good time. But you're going to know that you can go through hard things. You can make a decision, even if it costs you everything, and find that it was the best thing for you. And I'm okay if I have to live through the hard things to be that example for people that you can be in faith and still choose yourself, and it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good point because I've experienced people, I know some people personally that have gone through this. So just touch a little bit more about like the staying part of it. So like when people say, "Hey, I'm never going to go anywhere. Like I'm just going to stay in this marriage." Why do you think that is? Why do you think not only women but men too? Why do you think people stay in marriages when they know it's not right, when they know they should leave? Whether it's just not the right fit, whether it's abusive, whether it's something to deal with something else. What's it like knowing that you should leave but you can't?
It is, I say this all the time. It takes a lot of courage to leave. It takes a lot of courage to stay. And I give people a lot of credit that if they're counting the cost, sometimes it's financial, it's emotional, maybe like I don't know who I would be outside of this. Some people it's better to know the dysfunction here than the unknown out there.
Mm.
I'm at a certain age, a woman of a certain age or a man of a certain age is like, well, the dating pool out there is not great and I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't want to be alone. I rather it's just it's a lot
Yeah.
to do with comfort, sometimes insecurity, sometimes it's a financial decision. People do it a lot for the children. They stay because the unknown just feels so much more uncomfortable than staying where they are. Some stay because it's emotionally abusive. They're in a manipulative relationship and so they think it's best for them to just be where they are. It honestly has nothing to do with the relationship.
Mm.
It's just our own personal wiring, our own personal traumas that say, I mean, I know was in a relationship for 18 years. That could have been a good 3 had I
Wow.
known what I know now. And so my resilience and my ability to endure is what allowed me to be here right now. So I understand, I empathize.
Yeah.
Um and I just want to what I do is this. I go to the end of my life. I imagine myself on my deathbed. I'm 100 years old. I'm dying now and I'm looking back at this moment right here. What decision would I be most proud of? Like what
Yeah.
choice? And for me, when I would always think of the end of my life, I would say, go do the hard thing. I would feel more at peace in my death knowing that I did what I didn't even know I had the ability to do. I know what it means to stay. I've already had 18 years to
Mm.
see what this life will be like. I can imagine what the next 18 will be like. And I'm not okay with that. So I'm going to go off into the unknown. I'm going to do what makes me afraid. I'm going to grow from it. And I will never regret the choices that I've made. And that's what helped me and still helps me make a lot of decisions in my life is considering the future.
Yeah, that's good. So you just literally touched on about emphasizing, but in your memoir you emphasize about turning betrayal into personal growth. So what mind shifts are necessary to move from pain to purpose?
I learned in this process, especially as it relates to betrayal, is we are in control of what we feel, what hurts us,
Yeah.
and we get to decide at any moment when we're ready to make that pivot. And
Yeah.
I felt a sense of betrayal that I've never felt before, and I had a choice. Like, do I stay in this mindset? Do I stay in this state where
Yeah.
someone has wronged me? Or do I shift it and see it as they got the opportunity to wrong me. Okay, now what do we do with this? And at
Mm.
every point, it was like, I'm going to stall you out. I I
Yeah.
cannot change what has happened. I have no influence. I have no control over what other people do. I only have control over me. And as long as I put the control back and where and I was empowered with my feelings, my emotions, what I harped on, what I thought about, I'm like, you want to choose this?
Mm.
I live in Southern California. The sun is shining, right? There's a beautiful breeze. There's a beach
Yeah.
15 minutes away. Are you going to spend your days thinking about what somebody else has done to you?
That's good.
And they are outdoing it to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, no, I've already given you enough of my energy. It's time for me to put this in places that actually move me forward and help my life. And ever so often, if something comes to mind that's upsetting, I'll feel those feelings, I'll observe them, and I let them go. Thank you for coming.
Mm.
Goodbye. But
That's good.
betrayal doesn't have to be a prison for us. We stay there as long as we need to, and then it's time to move on.
Yeah, she preaching, y'all. Betrayal doesn't have to be a prison for us. Yeah, I agree with that because I feel like when we're betrayed, our emotional reaction is just to get back. Oh, you betrayed me, I'm gonna betray you. Or you betrayed me, I'm gonna find some way to get right. I gotta get you back because I don't like the way you're making me feel. So I just love that you said don't worry about how they betrayed you. Don't worry about them. Worry about you. How are you gonna fix what they did to you? So I love that. Yeah, but betrayal doesn't have to be a prison. That was good. I like that. So for people navigating burnout, so say whether it's leadership, marriage, faith, how can they recognize when it's time to step back and reassess their lives?
You know what? I'm starting to have a practice where I'm reassessing on a regular basis whether I feel burnt out or not. I'm starting to see that it's easier to have practice built into your life instead of waiting to notice. Some of us are built different. We can endure, we're resilient, we can take on a lot, so we think we should. But
Yes.
that's not the indicator. Like burnout to me, I had to completely fall off the cliff. Like I had to run out of gas 100% for me to notice, okay, I think I'm burnt out
Yeah.
because of my ability to hold a lot. I think as people, we really need to just schedule in time once a year, once ever so often, where we say, where is my life? How am I managing what's on my plate? How much of this do I want? How much of this is not even what is good for me? Like, and then make adjustments right then and there every 6 months, once a year, every how once a quarter, analyze your life. What am I doing? What's not working? What do I need to do more of? Where do I feel alive? Where am I aligned? Where's there misalignment? And we don't have to be burnt out. Okay, but if your hair is falling out, you got all kind of sicknesses, you're not sleeping well, you're anxious, having panic attacks, that's too late.
Yeah.
Let us normalize a culture where we don't have to feel all of the stuff going wrong in our mind, our body, our emotional life to know I'm doing too much, I'm burnt out. Let
Right.
us figure it out because we have a practice ongoing to analyze where we are in our life.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I feel like I struggled with the burnout phase because I was in ministry. I was in like five, six ministries in my church. So, and then with a full-time job. So I noticed when my burnout came when my friends were asked to hang out, and I would be like, okay, I can hang out. And then I would notice I would go from work to church to hang out. And next thing you know, I'm at home at 1 a.m. like I've been up for almost 24 hours. Like, I need to slow down. So that's when I kind of stepped back. Like, you don't have to do everything, all at once, So I felt like I was just doing too much. But, the burnout phase is real. A lot of people don't think, they're doing a lot when they are. Like you said, you get sick, you're tired every day, you don't have time for other people, family, friends. So that's when I kind of noticed. But yeah, that's good. So we're going to transition to therapy. You talked about therapy and your memoirs. So therapy is one of the tools you advocate for. So I know for me, it took me 30 plus years to even attempt to try therapy because I was one of the people that not only I knew I needed it, but as men, we're prideful. Like, oh, I don't need no therapy. I don't need somebody telling me like how to fix my life. And then I'm a private person. I don't like people in my business. So, how did therapy impact your healing process? And what would you say to those hesitant, like I was, to seek help?
Therapy was a game changer for me. I didn't seek help. I thought therapy's for people who have problems, who are crazy, and I'm like, I'm doing God's work, okay? So I'm doing good. I don't need that. And it was a requirement for my graduate program. So I went, and 6 months became 5 years. And
Yeah,
there, that was the place that helped me rebuild and reestablish and figure out who I was, what was broken in my life. Um, I saw it as a supportive partner, a person who was there to hear me. And I got so I don't want to use the word desperate, but I was so hungry and thirsty that my therapist was the first person I could be vulnerable with and transparent with outside of my partner.
yeah,
And it was the first time I trusted somebody outside of myself to hold my secrets.
yep,
That healthy relationship gave me an example of what it means to have meaningful, purposeful relationships with other people. So don't always think of it as therapy is something. There are intangibles that you can't think of for why it's beneficial for you. For me, having somebody listen to me every week for an hour when I was the one doing everything for everybody outside of that hour.
yeah,
So if he didn't help me at all, it taught me the practice that I am worthy of somebody listening to me. I'm worthy of somebody hearing what I have to say and thoughtfully responding.
yeah,
Like, I didn't have that. So I encourage therapy. I encourage finding the right therapist, that if somebody is saying, well, I don't want to do it, it's not for me, that's great. Hopefully you get it some other place.
yeah,
But for those people who know I need something and my friends can't give it to me, my family can't give it to me, it's a safe space. And if you go once and, oh, I didn't like it, try again, try multiple people, screen people. Treat it like a doctor. We do more for the people doing our hair than we do for therapy. Instagram and see who's doing what kind of styles, and we're investigating, and we go do consultations with people for our nails. But when it comes to therapy, it's like, oh, well, I tried it, it didn't work. No, keep going, find somebody that's a fit for you. By far, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Help me reframe, rebuild my entire infrastructure of my emotional life, help me develop more of my sense of self, help me individuate and become a healthy whole human. And then I'm doing pretty good in my estimation.
yeah, yeah. That's good. I feel like, yeah, people see therapy as like you need help, like you're crazy. Like you said, people say, like you said at the beginning, I don't need therapy. I'm good. I'm doing the Lord's work. That, I feel like that's how I was. I was like, what do I need therapy for? If anything, I'll just go to church. The pastor will get me right, something like that. So I feel like that's good to not see it as like a negative thing, like you're crazy or you need help. A
Mhm.
leader is at the very beginning of a difficult transition, whether that's they're feeling lost. I know you used the word desperate, disoriented, broken. What are the first three steps you would encourage them to take?
If somebody is in a broken state, hurt, frustrated right now, I would say number one, focus on the next right step.
Yeah,
Don't get far off in the future. Wherever you are, always keep in mind what is the next right thing. Sometimes the next right thing is waking up. The
that's
next right thing is taking a shower. It's getting some food in your stomach. Like just the next right thing, not all the other things. Number
yeah,
two, have more grace for yourself.
mm,
When we're at the bottom, when we're in our lowest, we tend to beat ourselves up for being there. I'm sick of being here. I should be further. I should be better. I should be higher. I shouldn't have these feelings. We fight.
yeah,
Have grace for this season. When you are in that broken state, it is teaching you something, no matter how painful it looks. And
yeah,
it will give you something that you can't even buy. Stay
yep,
there long enough to have the experience of it and let it teach you. Don't
yeah,
rush to the next thing. Be there. And that's probably my third thing is when life is breaking, stay down. Stay down for a second. For those who are wired like me, we're like, okay, what I got to get up. I got to do this. I'm not going to let this break me and all. Let it break you. Let it fall.
yeah, yeah,
Allow it to be for a season, for a second. Get what you need to get down there before you focus on getting up. So
yeah,
that may be totally a contradiction to other people or whatever you want to call it, antithetical. But
yeah.
for me, I've had such a beautiful transformative experience with the most darkest places in my life that I almost wish some days I wish you would have stayed down a little longer. Because once you come out of that, it is so vastly different. You will
Yep.
never have that experience again. You may
Yeah.
go through something hard, but you will never be that version of yourself. Let it teach you. Remember it, screenshot it, feel it deeply, and then
Yeah.
take the next right step.
Yeah. This is good. This is good stuff. So I'll end with this. So I've noticed in marriages, a lot of people stay because of the children. So I know you had three children with your ex-husband. So I'm not sure if that was your case, but what advice would you give to people that say, "Hey, I don't want a broken home. I want a two-parent home." So they stay for the children knowing they're unhappy in their marriage. So they kind of put the children first, which is nothing wrong with, but you also have to put yourself first. So what advice would you give to people that kind of like, I'm just with him because of the children. I just want to stay in this marriage because of the children.
I say to those people who say they're staying for the children that your children can see the quality of your relationship. And
Mm,
what would it feel like for you to stay married in the condition you're in for 50 years and have your children find a partner just like yours? Like, what does
wow.
that look like to have grandchildren living in an environment that's actually killing and hurting you? So I decided in my reasoning that I would rather my children live from a place of truth. That having what looks like a perfect relationship on the outside, but it's not on the inside is deception. And I
Yeah.
said they're going to be in therapy regardless of my
Mm,
choices.
mm,
Because if you do not have a home with two loving, supportive people, your children are watching your relationship. Mama sleeps upstairs, daddy sleeps downstairs. They don't kiss, they don't hug, they're not intimate with each other. They
yeah.
yell, they're it's quiet, nobody's speaking to each other. So yes, you seem like you have the family, but what is the quality of that relationship?
Yep.
Divorce is hard, and it's hard at any age. I have met women who have adult children that had complete breakdowns when their parents divorced. There are people who have children that divorce when their kids are 1 and 2 and they don't even remember the mother and the father together. There
Yeah.
are so many different circumstances, but for the love of God, I say, do what is best for you, but also imagine what your kids' POV is. What is their perspective of you? And how would you feel if your child married a partner just like yours and they were treated exactly like you? How would you feel then? And if you're okay with that, stay for your children. Do what you think is best.
Mm.
I just thought my kids, I would rather them see their mom rebuilt and be a happy, joyful person and have a lot of love to give and a lot of quality time. I wanted them to know me as a human, that before you go on in your life, you're going to know the truth. And hopefully the truth will set you free, my love. And I am surprised that our relationship we have made it.
Hmm.
Okay. We were not unscathed, but I have a great relationship with my kids. We have managed to move through divorce, and I'm thankful and grateful for the choice that I made.
Thank you so much, Maisha. This was great. So I feel like this was for people that are married, divorced. I'm single and never been married. I feel like I've learned a lot from this. So when I do get married, if I get married, that I will learn some stuff from what you said today. So I appreciate it and good luck on your journey. It's only been 4 years, so I know the journey's not over. So good luck on your journey. I know it's been a road, but it seems like you're making the best of it, honestly, and I commend you on that. So thank you
Thank
for
you
joining.
so much.
No problem.
I appreciate that.
Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. Coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ. We coolin' with CJ, with CJ, with CJ.